Sergio Perez, who was knocked out of qualifying at the first hurdle in Las Vegas, complained a lack of grip in his Red Bull RB20 during a weekend in which Red Bull told him that 2025 was not assured. And after that horrible Q1 crash out, pressure is building once more, with Helmut Marko claiming Perez is done and a decision is expected to be made very soon. Red Bull headed into the Las Vegas Grand Prix weekend, the first of the season's final 3 races, knowing they needed Perez to collect points for the Constructors' Championship. If they ever wanted to come close to winning it, they needed to have 2 cars up front. However, that was not what happened, as Sergio Perez had his 6th first-quarter exit in 2024 at Las Vegas. The Mexican driver gained only 20 points since the summer break, and his current collapse has pushed the Milton Keynes side down to 3rd place, below the 2-car scoring McLaren and Ferrari teams. Is it over for the Mexican? Can we expect an announcement soon? From a constructor's point of view, we desperately need both cars right up there working as a pair, which we haven't had, team principal Christian Horner said earlier in the weekend. So obviously, hopefully Checo can get some strong performances in these last 3 races. There's no way we're going to be able to win the Constructors' Championship without that. However, following yet another disastrous qualifying session, with Perez eliminated in Q1 for the 6th time this season, Red Bull's hopes of recouping points have been severely hampered. Perez blamed his qualifying issues on a lack of grip, not skill. "We've been lacking a lot of pace through the qualifying, and that's been the main issue really for us," he told the media. So it didn't get any better. In hindsight, we should have used 2 sets, given that we were not so competitive in Q1. I think just compromising the low speed has been quite tricky. And then the sliding. I feel like if I slide a little bit too much one tyre, then I finished it. According to the 34-year-old, there is a fundamental issue with the RB20, but while Verstappen can work around it, Perez falls short. "I think we got a fundamental issue at the moment with the car that is just not working for me," he said. "It's where the whole brain is going, trying to fix it instead of compromising. At the moment, we come to the weekends and we just explore a lot of things. And then, it's just a difficult one to make it work. It's obviously not ideal. You want to be up there, especially when I know what I can do. But when you don't have that grip underneath you, then it's really hard. And you're prone to a lot of mistakes and so on." Barring any potential penalties for those ahead of him, Perez will start 16th on the grid for Saturday night's 50-lap Las Vegas Grand Prix. Although he admits it won't be easy, he isn't ruling out storming through the field at a circuit where 99 overtakes happened last year. "I think tomorrow is going to be a very tricky one," he said. "There's a long race ahead, a lot of things will happen, and I believe that we are more competitive come races because yesterday we looked a lot better over the long race than over a single lap." However, time is running out for Perez to get the one major result that will salvage his Red Bull career. Perez is committed to race for Red Bull Racing in 2025, but his future is uncertain. If Red Bull decides to make a change, Yuki Tsunoda and Liam Lawson will be the primary candidates. Both drivers finished ahead of Perez in qualifying. Franco Colapinto is another prominent contender. The Williams driver suffered a serious collision in Q2. Horner said he may wait until the start of next year's Australian Grand Prix weekend to make a choice. "All the drivers that we have under contract, we're very clear on what their contractual situations are," said the team boss. "We could, if we so chose, leave it all the way up until Melbourne next year, if we want to, because we have drivers under contract. But inevitably, at the end of the year, we'll sit down and look at all the information that's available to us." Horner might want to wait a little longer before making a decision, but for Helmut Marko, it's clear. Marko immediately expressed dissatisfaction with Perez. Marko acknowledged that Perez was driving with a different setup than Verstappen, but also stated that Perez was simply not quick enough. Yes, he was simply not fast enough. And maybe we should have used 2 sets of tyres, that would have helped, but we thought he could do that. Now he is 16th. The pressure is increasing on Perez. Asked whether the Mexican could keep his seat for 2025, Marko responded clearly, After Abu Dhabi, we will go through all the possibilities and then we will make a decision. I am not saying there is a risk. I am saying we will look at all the possibilities and then take a decision. It's clear that Helmut Marko wants to see Perez go, but he doesn't hold the same influence over the team as he used to anymore. In the end, Horner will make the decision, but seeing what Verstappen was able to do in the car opposed to Perez, he might change his mind as well. And it's not that Verstappen had it easy in any way. The Dutchman battled with his car throughout the weekend. In qualifying, the Dutchman did not go beyond 5th place. Nonetheless, he'll start ahead of Lando Norris. Verstappen was pleased with the result, but predicts challenges during the Grand Prix. Verstappen believed he would lose time mostly in the turns and straights. We know that with our wing, you naturally lose top speed, especially with DRS open. It's a bit of a handicap. We knew that, the Dutchman said. That is of course something we have to deal with on a track like this, a track like Monza, he continued. But besides that, I always felt it was a bit difficult to get the tyres in the right window. I think in qualifying we did our best with what we had, and then P5 is the result. Of course we were a bit lucky that Lewis didn't drive a fast lap, otherwise it would have been P6. I think we really got the maximum out of it. Verstappen acknowledged that the car had improved tremendously. Yesterday, I think we were more than a second off. Today it's slightly less. I also really feel we have optimized it as a team. But of course it's still too slow. I think more than half of that is already on the straights. So, that's just something you can't do anything about anymore. When asked, the 3-time world champion said he had more grip than the rest of the weekend. It was slightly better compared to all the runs I had done before. But, of course, it still didn't look like the guys fighting for pole. Verstappen expects some issues owing to the limited peak speed. Of course, the wing is not the most efficient, but hopefully when everyone has their DRS closed, it will be a bit better. Because when you flatten your DRS, you obviously have less DRS effect, and that's what's quite painful in qualifying. The lengthy runs didn't look so great either. In the race, you obviously have a less favourable effect when you try to overtake people, so that will be a bit more difficult. Hopefully, we are just good on the tyres. My long runs were not really good, but we have also changed a bit to the car, and hopefully that will also help for the tyres, Verstappen said. Some fans and analysts were claiming Red Bull was so far off the pace due to the idea that Red Bull brought the wrong rear wing to Las Vegas. However, Christian Horner denied reports that Red Bull forgot to pack the rear wing needed to deal with the low downforce characteristics of the Las Vegas Strip circuit. Red Bull had rough practice sessions ahead of an underwhelming Las Vegas Grand Prix qualifying, with the RB20 running at almost 7 km/h slower than its opponents along the long strip stretch of the course. It prompted to speculation that the team had shipped the incorrect rear wing, and that the proper version would be flown out overnight in time for final practice and qualifying. Red Bull's public relations staff flatly denied this. Speaking to Sky Sports F1, Horner said, "I don't know quite where it came from. We don't have a specifically designed wing for very low downforce, which is potentially here in Monza. The money involved in creating that within the cost cap, you've got to pick and choose where you're going to spend it. The wing that we have, you end up trimming the wings to achieve a top speed, and that's what many of the teams have done. But we didn't forget our rear wing, so that helps that rumour out of the way. But it's clear that Red Bull just wasn't prepared for this circuit, which begs the question. Will they take this result into consideration when discussing Perez's future? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.